Hi, we're glad you're joining us tonight. Pastor John is an idiot and forgot to record, even though he put it on his sheet to record. So this is the second week in a row, and I apologize for that. But we're just talking about making the sign of the cross, and whether we grew up with it or not, and just talking about religious rituals and how they have helped us through the years. So we're looking at the morning and evening prayer section, and I apologize vociferously for not including you up to this point. So forgive me. And while I have you online, and while I have you guys online who are here, just to remind you that we do have a break coming up here. So we don't meet, the next time we meet is January 16th. So just keep that in mind. And then we pretty much go through May at that point. But we have a little bit of a break coming up here. So just be aware of that. So any rate, I just realized I'm supposed to be doing this recording, so I apologize to my audience out there, and don't give up on me. Eventually, I'll learn. So I think I might have to staple it to my forehead. Maybe if I staple a post-it note here that says "record," you guys can remind me. So we'll see. All right. Luther on page 178 talks about how music and greeting the day with a song. He encourages us to do that as well. I don't here because it's just too hard to do. But in the class that I'm teaching on Wednesday nights when we're together, I like to begin that with a song and sing a hymn together. I just think there's so much worth in doing that together. We can't on Zoom. It just doesn't work because what you have to do is everybody has to be muted. Otherwise, you're sort of falling all over each other. So, but it is a nice thing to begin your day with a song, as Luther says. And of course, Luther composed many hymns. I think there's something like 18 of them that are in our hymnal that have some origin from Martin Luther, both text and music. Okay. Things that popped out at you this week. I've mentioned several things that popped out at me, but what interested you this week, or what would you like to further discuss? Barbara?
I have one on page 176
Mm-hmm.
in the gray box.
Mm-hmm.
Partway down, it says 3 things people must know in order to be saved. What kind of saving is that?
Let me find it for you.
Okay, we're in the gray box.
Oh, I see. Yeah, 3 things first you must know what to do and what to leave undone. Yeah, I didn't catch this box, by the way. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's sort of anti-Lutheran if you think about it. I mean, the idea is that there's nothing we can do to be saved. I cannot, by my own reason, strength, or understanding. It's not what we do. It's God who does it in it. And then here he just, yeah. At this point, he's not a very good systematic theologian. He sort of talks all over the place. Because another place he makes it very clear, as he did just with the 3rd article of the Creed, there's nothing we can do. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I didn't even catch this. Maybe the Lord made me skip over it, but now that I see it, yeah, I'm not a real fan of what he's written here as his preface to the little prayer book. I mean, I don't think you have to know anything to be saved. I mean, obviously there's some things there we realize we're sinful and we need, sort of like that use of the law and stuff. But I don't know. I don't find it to be very helpful. The other thing, I mean, if you think about if you make salvation dependent on what we do or what we know or things we need to know, what happens with people who have Down syndrome? What happens with people who have dementia? Are they now excluded because they're not able to understand? I don't follow that. So I don't agree with what he's saying in this little paragraph here.
What
and
does
that TAL.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask that very thing. What does the TAL for 167?
It stands for the annotated Luther is what it's so it's something that he said at one time, and it's related to this little prayer book that he wrote in 1522.
Yeah, I looked that up. I found that book there's a site called Internet Archive, and it has all those I found some of Luther's sermons on there, but they have
Yeah.
the little prayer book, and I was reading the first part of it, but I didn't get very far in it yet.
Yeah, I have this. Have you ever seen this? I have it on my shelf here. It's called the Little Lutheran Book of Prayer.
No.
So I think it's modeled after what Luther did. It's Concordia, which means it was Missouri Synod. So I got it when I was growing up, but I think it's modeled after his little prayer book because it has his prayers for morning and evening and things, and it has the different churchier stuff. But have any of you ever seen this before?
I don't think so.
It's called the, I don't know if you can see it there, the Lutheran Book of Prayer. So it's just this little red book.
Yeah,
So
I was
I
looking
had
to
this.
back on the bookcase, to see if Bob had
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
yeah.
I don't think
So,
so.
but it's sort of modeled that he had this little book of prayer, which I think is here. But I don't find this preface on 3 things that you must know. I don't find that to be helpful. I think it's sort of anti-Lutheran, to be honest. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know about you, but when you read the book, when you're reading this book, do you read the inserts first as you're reading, or do you go back and read them? And normally I read them when I'm on the same page. And for whatever reason, when I was reading this today, I read past this and then I forgot to come back and read it. So, but usually I try to read them when I'm on the page. But I don't know. It doesn't flow with what's being written. So sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. You know. Other thoughts or concerns?
The person who wrote what was the contents of that gray box, is it one of those authors of this
Yeah,
series?
it is. But I never can figure out who's writing what.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says it because I know some of the people and some of the people I don't know. But does it say, like in the back, who wrote which sections? Oh, here it does. Okay. So in the very back, so right now, daily prayer was written by Martin Lorman. So I know Martin. He was actually at Philadelphia while I was there. So he's the one that's writing the current things. So I don't know why he put that box in there. I'm gonna have to call him and say, eh. So his father was the bishop of Northwest Ohio. Marcus is his father's name. Was the bishop in Northwest Ohio for many years. But this is his son. So, oh, I do like that they. Oh, now I can see who. I hadn't found this yet. So we see who wrote the Apostles' Creed and the 10 Commandments. Okay.
And
Where are you finding that?
Yeah, what page?
So in mine, it's on page 224. Oh, this says the person adding the sidebar by material is Tim Wangert, who he's the one who did the translation of the Book of Concord, and he's sort of a bean counter. So I know Tim. So he's the one who's doing the sidebar material. Yeah, I don't like that particular insert, but what do I know? The very top one there, the Guy Irwin, at the time that this was written, is the Bishop of Southwest California Synod. Now he's the president of the seminary that I went to, Philadelphia and Gettysburg joined together, and that's where he's the president now, Guy Irwin. And I know Martin Lorman, I know Dean Derek Nelson, and I know Tim Wangert. Oh, interesting. But yeah, I don't find that little insertion that good on this particular one. Okay.
Page 170.
Go ahead.
It mentions how being grateful for life itself is a deep spiritual practice. I agree with that. I like that really well.
I did too. Yeah, I absolutely. So I don't know if you know this, but when making the sign of the cross, there's a Western way to do it and an Eastern way to do it. So in the Western church, we make the sign of the cross like this, right? And then sometimes go back to the center. In the Eastern church, they make the sign of the cross like this, and then they'll go like this. They'll make a slash. Because
Oh,
have you ever noticed that there's some portrayals of Jesus on the cross where his feet are on sort of that slanted piece of wood toward the bottom? Have you ever seen that? So that's what a lot of their iconography has that. So in the Eastern church, they know the Father, Son, and then they do the Father, Son, and they do slash for the bottom. If they do it quickly, you can't tell the difference. But if they slow it down, they do it a little bit differently. Because the church can never agree on anything at any moment, so we have to have differences, I guess. So, okay. All right. Well, I actually have church council tonight. It just happens to fall on Tuesdays, but I'm looking forward to getting together. So just to remind you that our next meeting will be on January 7th, 16th. That's Tuesday, January 16th. And I will be sure to record for those out there in our video land. I will make sure that I record the whole session. And if not, Barbara, Sharon, Julia, Darcy, and Pete are going to remind me and say, Pastor, did you record it? So I don't know why I think we just get to talking and stuff, or I get to blabbing. Even if I write it in my notepad, it's like, so at any rate, if that's the worst sin I ever commit, I suppose it wouldn't be awful, but I will try to remember to record it. So, all right. Well, blessings to everyone. Stay safe out there. We're in for, at least here in Columbus, a spell of nice weather. It's beautiful out there today, so it's fine with me. You may, with all this
Thank
global
you.
warming, we may be beachfront property soon here, huh? Who knows? So, all right. Blessings to
Thank you
everyone.
so
And
much. Thank you.
absolutely. We'll see you on this format again in January. All right. Blessings.
Christmas.
Yes. Merry Christmas.